Where we live, life is uncertain.
When the hurricane passed through the land, it destroyed all of our plantations, all of our seeds.
When I was 12, I was recruited by an armed group. We lived a hard life.
We were living in a country where everything is in disorder.
Sometimes you don't know where your next meal might come from. Sometimes you don't know if a natural disaster will wipe out all your hard work.
The storm is upon us.
Italy has now
South Africa.
The coronavirus.
Spain suffers.
Bolivia has reported the United States more new COVID cases.
Because life can be uncertain for all of us.
The pandemic means big losses.
And as the market's reaction,
80 countries have already asked for help.
More are expected to suffer.
There are warnings the world is on the brink of a hunger pandemic. COVID-19 is threatening to push millions into starvation.
We are launching a Readiness and Resilience Fund to help our partners in whatever way we can. We expect to use it to help them to be prepared for the impacts of the pandemic, to take the proper precautions to keep themselves safe, and we also expect that we'll be using it to help them in the long recovery as the economic impacts of this pandemic are felt.
Our team in Thailand is working to translate important updates into the local languages that our partners speak.
Some of our partners that have started businesses before are now creating masks. This has enabled our participants to continue their tree planting activities.
We can cultivate bananas to eat at home and to sell.
The markets have been closed for weeks. We are thankful we have healthy soil that allows us to grow more food. We don't know what's going to come next. There's so much work still to be done, but we are ready.
Thank you so much for joining us for this first ever virtual gala. We're really excited that you're here. This is super exciting. We get to talk to a much larger audience than we've ever been able to do in the past, and so we're just super grateful for your support. I have a few announcements about how this is going to work, which I'll go into before we jump into everything. We've heard along the way that some people have had some issues navigating the software, so I just want to give you some helpful pointers. One is the volume button is sometimes hard to find. I know you probably can't hear me if you can't find the volume button, but hover the mouse over the screen and you'll see the volume button pop up. Maybe let someone know that in the chat if they're struggling. The chat is the second thing. You can chat us live throughout the event, and we've got staff ready to answer your questions, talk back to you. We'd love to hear where you're coming from and who you are. You could do that to the right of your screen. Also, you'll find on the left-hand side of your screen a red Give Now button, and that's where you can make a donation or pledge a gift, give via any other means, credit card or anything else, throughout the duration of this event. Thank you very much again for joining us. I'm going to hand it over to Scott Sabin, our CEO, who's going to introduce us in prayer.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you for spending a part of your Saturday evening with us. We want to start this off the right way, so will you join me in prayer? Lord God, we thank you for all that you've given us. And tonight I'm especially thankful for our partnership that extends from the mountains of the Dominican Republic to the hills of Thailand and Tanzania to the living rooms of homes all over the United States. The partnership that we have the privilege of being the network for. We thank you so much for all those that are joining us this evening. We thank you for using all of us, Lord, in your redemptive work in the world, the amazing privilege of partnering with you in your kingdom work. We ask your presence here tonight. We ask that you smooth over any of the technological challenges. We ask that you fill each of our hearts and bless each of us. And we pray that this evening would be to your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And similarly, we realize that none of this would be possible without a lot of you who have paved the way to make this happen. So we want to thank a few people. First of all, we want to thank the group of generous donors who gathered together and challenged us to support 5,600 families throughout this event. That's a really big, ambitious goal. Thank you for the challenge. But to make things a little easier, they've also promised to match every gift that's given tonight. So if you give to support one family, it actually supports two. We're extremely grateful for that. We don't often have these opportunities, and so thank you very much for that. We want to thank our board of directors. We want to thank the Gala committee. We want to thank Hepburn Creative, who's helped make all of the video elements and the technical side of this possible. We want to thank the rest of our team. We want to thank our humble leaders, people like Scott, who's been with us for 27 years, and the list just goes on and on and on. But thank you so much for all of the people who have made this possible tonight. So yeah, over to Scott, who's going to tell us a little bit more about what's going on and share some exciting news.
Well, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone if I was to say that 2020 has been a challenging year, but it has been an amazing year, and it's been a blessing for Plant with Purpose, and I'm excited to share with you some stories of hope tonight. Jesus has been at work in the communities that we serve around the world. And the passage that keeps coming to my mind is the passage from John 1. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not overcome it. And really, we are seeing that again and again. One of our core messages is the fact that the people we serve are our partners, not our projects. And never has that been more real to me than this year, when we have together been working through this global pandemic. And they have been such an incredible source of inspiration and blessing to me. Well, some of you are no doubt new to Plant with Purpose, so I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about who we are. Plant with Purpose is a Christian nonprofit organization. We reverse deforestation and poverty around the world by transforming the lives of the rural poor. And you might wonder why the rural poor? We serve smallholder farmers who are some of the poorest people in the world. 2 billion people worldwide make their living as smallholder farmers, growing, and many of them are subsistence farmers, growing much or all of their own food. They farm on average less than 5 acres, some of them much less than that, maybe a half an acre or less. They make up 80% of the poorest people in the world, and they farm incredibly poor land, the land nobody else wants. Often it's steep hillsides or rocky deserts. And for them, their soil and their water are their primary assets. And deforestation actually removes or accelerates the loss of both of those assets. It dramatically accelerates erosion. It reduces the infiltration of rainfall, and so it reduces the water table and changes rainfall patterns. So the two most important assets they have, their precious topsoil and their rainfall or their rainwater, are eliminated. And ironically, smallholder farmers often cause the deforestation themselves in a desperate struggle for survival. So in order to work with that vicious cycle, and we believe whenever there's a vicious cycle, God gives us the opportunity for a virtuous cycle. We have developed over 35 plus years an integrated program of transformation, starting with environmental restoration, helping people to restore the land that they depend on, economic empowerment, giving them alternatives beyond just subsistence farming, spiritual renewal, helping them understand that God loves them and understand the gifts that they have and their identity in Christ. I'm going to unpack each of these for you just a little bit, starting with environmental restoration. And of course, when we're talking about deforestation, reforestation is an obvious response, but a lot of the tree planting that goes on is within the context of our regenerative agriculture program, helping people to farm in such a way that it learns from God's creation, that it's sustainable, that it restores ecosystem services. resources. So this slide is taken on the Dominican border, Dominican-Haiti border, and this farmer we worked with for a number of years, and this is what it looked like after we finished working with him. As you can see, the forest has been restored, fruitfulness has been restored, he's got more topsoil, he's got more water resources, and not only does he benefit, but everyone downstream benefits as well. And another thing we've learned is that as the success of people upstream impacts people downstream, if we focus our work within watersheds, we can maximize our impact. There was a whole session on watersheds. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch that, I recommend you go back and see it, because it will explain this in much better detail. But in a real layman's terms, a watershed is really a catchment basin for a river or a stream, and what happens upstream impacts everybody downstream. And we've learned that we don't have to serve everybody in a watershed for everybody to benefit. And so this example was taken from southern Burundi. It's just 3 key watersheds. The green dots are savings groups where we have been working, and you can see they're clustered together, and we have found that that the economic benefits are maximized, the ecological benefits are maximized, water is purer, the spiritual benefits and the social benefits are maximized. And again, if you get a chance, take a look at the watersheds video. I mentioned savings groups, and that's the key building block for our economic empowerment model. This, I wish I had more time to talk about it, but as people bring their savings and contribute them weekly, that savings is then mobilized to be used to make loans and invest in things in the community. When I first heard about this system and heard about widows bringing 25 cents a week, I honestly didn't see how it could have the impact that it's had. But today we have over 1,600 savings groups with $6.5 million that they're investing in their own communities, in their own farms, in their neighbors' farms. And so when we talk about the people we serve being partners, not projects, this is part of what we're talking about. They are investing more, financially more, to say nothing of labor. They are investing more in their own communities on a daily basis than we can possibly invest. Now, studies have shown that savings groups can also often lose vitality after a couple of years. And we have found that coupling agricultural training with savings groups improves both of them and creates another virtuous cycle as people have their farm, their job, what they know how to do, to invest in, and as they improve their techniques, they can then have more money to save, creating a virtuous cycle. In fact, this is working so well that we've even had outside organizations come to us for some assistance in our regenerative agriculture curriculum, which we call Seeds of Change. The third piece that really ties it all together, that's foundational, is the spiritual renewal piece. And we did a couple of sessions on Thursday, one on where we see God at work in the world, and the other on theology of work, which is my own favorite aspect of what we're teaching. The idea that God gives us each unique talents and gives us the privilege of participating in God's work in the world, in the redemptive work in the world. It's absolutely life-changing for people who realize that not only are they born with a purpose, but they have an eternal purpose. We have a number of different ways that spiritual renewal takes place, working with church leaders to help them become more active in their communities and meet needs in their communities, devotionals through the savings groups. You might be wondering, you don't have to be a Christian to be a part of what we do, and we talk about that in the other session as well. But everybody has the opportunity, should they so desire, to find out more about the good news. Well, I know you're wondering about the impact of COVID. We touched on that a little bit in the video. I think that this slide does more to epitomize our response than anything else. I have been truly inspired. Far from anything resembling fear or panic, I think universally our partners responded with clear-eyed resolve to do what's necessary, to take the precautions they need to take, and to move forward undaunted. And that's been a huge inspiration to me. We've learned a lot about how our program brings resilience. The fact that people are planting to meet their own needs makes them more resistant to the impacts in the local markets from the economic fallout of COVID-19. Additionally, savings. On average, our partners or our families have 2.5 months of savings. It's designed to help people through an economic crisis like the one we're in. But we've also learned that our model itself is resilient. We're not dependent on a bunch of Americans traveling to countries to teach people. It's done locally. The teaching occurs locally, and we figured out ways to make that more remote, oftentimes using cell phone or internet to push things out to the villages because we didn't want to become the inadvertent vector. And as a result, things have moved forward largely undaunted. Farms are still being transformed. Trees are still being planted. Savings groups are still meeting with some obvious modifications like this. But in any case, it has been an absolute inspiration. And again, the people have proven to be our partners in this. Our partners and not our projects, but walking alongside us through a global pandemic, something that we're all challenged by. And it has given me strength and encouragement again and again and again. Well, this has been an exciting year for a number of other reasons. A lot of things that we've been working on for quite some time are coming to fruition. This gives us a sense of the scope of the work right now, snapshot at this moment, but so much more is in the future. This year we finalized our Thrive 25 strategic plan and begin working on that in July. We're so excited by the results we've had over the last 5 years that we feel compelled to more than double, to increase our impact in twice as many watersheds and among many more communities and many more families. We have also begun working on that right away. We, in Mexico, have recently opened work in the state of Puebla, 2 new watersheds in the state of Puebla. We've doubled our impact in Chiapas. And this is all among indigenous communities that typically are closed to outsiders. And the ability to expand like this represents a tremendous amount of local trust, hard-earned local trust. Our local partners, Mission Integral, Luis and his team, have done an amazing job of building trust, of being faithful, and so they're getting invited into communities that have been closed to outsiders for centuries. We're seeing a lot of other exciting things, stories like Margarita's story here, who had for many years had to immigrate to the United States, spent 17 years in the US, and now is reunited with her family. That story doesn't stand alone. There's many families that no longer have to be separated by immigration. Other stories like a woman named Marina who has planted a number of churches, felt empowered, and now has the resources to plant churches. So we are incredibly blessed by what's taking place in Mexico. Burundi is another country where exciting things have happened. We're partnering with Hope International, which is a very well-regarded Christian microfinance institution that does a lot of savings groups, very similar to ours. And as I mentioned earlier, there's the issue of savings groups losing vitality after a couple of years. And so in order to continue to offer opportunity, we're going to be giving the Seeds of Change redemptive agriculture curriculum to 74 of their savings groups that already exist and happen to be in some of the key watersheds that we're already working in. This is just a small start. We and Hope International both think that this is just the tip of the iceberg, that there's the potential for so much more collaboration in the future, and not only in Burundi, but perhaps in other countries around the world. Democratic Republic of Congo is where the biggest news comes from. And if you were in the Africa session, yesterday, you heard a lot of this. If you weren't in the Africa session yesterday, I strongly recommend that you go back and listen to it because that was really exciting. In Eastern Congo, we have seen a 60% reduction in local poverty. We see that in most of the places we work, but in Eastern Congo, it took 2 years, where it takes 6 or 7 years or more in other places. But it wasn't just that. It was the reconciliation that took place among warring tribes and the collaboration between churches that didn't even recognize each other before. Speaking from the heart, this is the closest thing to a miracle that I've ever had the privilege of participating in. Veronica's story here was shared by Jared yesterday, but just as a reminder, Veronica got very sick a number of years ago, lost her eye, became partially paralyzed, and as she says, she was regarded as being cursed. And her husband left her, and she came close to killing herself. It was only God's promise to the poor that kept her alive. But once she started participating with Plant with Purpose, she began to realize her own dignity and value. And as she says, I can still smile. I can take credit for my increased income. Take a second to look at her smile. And I want to sincerely thank you, those of you who've been supporting Plant with Purpose for years, those of you who have been praying for us and donating. Thank you for your part in giving Veronica her smile. You have changed her life, but not just her life. Her children have returned to school as well. And so you're making a generational change. And we keep talking about Veronica because her story does have some unique aspects. But one part that isn't unique is the children returning to school. Children are 3 times as likely, girls are 3 times as likely to attend school in Eastern Congo because of the work that we've been doing. So thank you for making a generational change. Because of our success in Congo, we've attracted the attention of some outside evaluators and outside foundations, and we have an incredible opportunity to expand from 2 watersheds to 11 in Eastern Congo. That was our first 2, Kakumba and Kambakulu there. It's going to take $3.6 million over the next 3 years to do that, and more over the next 5, but in 5 years we expect to be serving 150,000 people. This is what it's going to look like this year. We've already started working in 5 new watersheds and adding savings groups and increasing by 2024 into 11 watersheds and ultimately saturating those. We expect to make a significant and measurable difference in the region, and we already have $2.6 million committed by the Kingdom Giving Fund, and that came about in part because we were evaluated by Excellence in Giving, and I'm going to let one of their staff members share with you their evaluation of our work here in just a second. But before I do that, I just want to thank you once again for being here, for your partnership, for your prayers, for your donations. It's vital, and now more than ever, because it's the only thing that can make this expansion in Congo and around the world possible. Thank you very much.
My name is Paul Penley. I'm a managing director at Excellence in Giving. We're a national philanthropic advisory firm that helps high-capacity families across the country invest in effective, faith-based solutions to the world's toughest problems. Our clients give away more than $70 million a year, so my team evaluates hundreds of ministries to get the giving right. We've tracked Plant with Purpose for over a decade now, and I'll tell you, they weren't ready for multi-million-dollar investments 10 years ago. But they're ready today. We've recently picked apart the leadership, strategy, finances, and impact of Plant with Purpose to determine whether a new Christian grant-making collective called the Kingdom Giving Fund should invest $2.6 million in the growth of the watershed restoration programs in the Congo. After reviewing internal documents and interviewing the board, the staff, and even local Congolese pastors who participated in the pilot program, our conclusion was this: Plant with Purpose has a strategy and the results to literally bring people out of rural poverty. Very few ministries have such well-documented impact. The watershed methodology actually has a spillover effect in communities where neighbors who aren't even directly involved in the programs see a significant reduction in key poverty indicators simply because of the larger impact on the environment and the way that neighbors share what they're learning. The bottom line is this for us: Plant with Purpose's intervention erases the need for school scholarships, food handouts, free clinics, and child sponsorship, because now the family can take care of their own needs through increased income that's partially spent on education, health care, and more nutritious food, and partially saved for the next emergency or small business opportunity. Evaluating ministries for the past 12 years has shown me that the intention and ambitions of most ministries tends to be better than their execution. But Plant with Purpose is getting it right. They are ready to handle significant investment in their proven and cutting-edge watershed programs today.
It's just amazing when a partner can speak so eloquently about what we do better than we often do. So thank you very much for those words, Excellence in Giving. We're about to go into the fundraising portion of this event, but first is the part you've all been waiting for. We're going to premiere Hondo Valle, which is our newest video. What I want to share with you about the video before we see it is this year's been really hard. In the past, we've usually sent a video team to the field to spend some time with a family and profile a family story of growing out of poverty and what that looks like. But this year we couldn't travel. So we had to come up with creative ways to do this. And I'm really excited about the outcome of this video because we were able to hire local filmmakers who knew the area and could tell the story in a way that just further gets at who these people are. So we want to show you our latest video premiere, Hondo Valle.
Our environment is healthy, and we are the reason why it can be like this. Around 8 or 10 years ago, it stopped raining and everything went dry. A whole year passed by without rain. Our lives depend on it. If we don't have rain, we don't have life.
Life for us was difficult. We didn't know where we had our resources. We didn't realize that we had so much around us and that we ourselves had a lot of ability to produce these resources.
Life was very difficult. When you needed 1,000 pesos for your farm or for some medication or food, you had to go to what I call bloodsuckers. That's what I call the money lenders that take advantage of people. They loaned us money and charged us 20% interest. We had no choice. We took loans from the bloodsuckers at 20% so we could plant bean seeds. We planted them, but everything was lost. Later, we had to harvest to pay for the seeds, but we lost our harvest. We didn't have any food because nothing was produced.
I am proud of my wife. She's not the kind of woman who can just sit around. She manages so much.
We took out a loan from our group that Plant with Purpose helped us organize. We bought this horse who helped us transport our harvest, coffee, food, avocados, everything we produce. Every day, we are taking steps that lead us towards a better future. This has changed my life. When I make a loan, a part of that comes back to me. And also, I am building savings.
After she joined Plant with Purpose, I saw how far she came. From then to now, I see how we now have a small business we didn't have before.
I can use these loans to buy livestock. We can cultivate bananas, both to eat at home and to sell.
Through Plant with Purpose, we have learned how to dig along contour lines to stop the soil from running off.
As a community, we are promoting more awareness of reforestation, and coffee growing is a part of this. Our coffee is a part of this healing process, and our oranges and avocados and bananas, it's all change, and we've seen about 80% of our community recover. Each of us might have a small farm, but we can come together as a group. Today you might help me, and tomorrow I could help you.
When we joined Plant with Purpose, it was like we had harmony and direction.
Plant with Purpose helped us understand more about planting trees. It's to create a healthy environment. We have that here. We breathe better air. We learned how to connect with God and everything we do. When the sun goes up, we read scripture. Before we go to sleep, our family prays together.
If we don't have a vision, then our resources aren't worth having, because the vision is the most important thing we share.
When I think about the future now, I see progress. Things will keep getting better because things are growing. I am grateful to those who have made it possible for our community to develop, because look how the farms are. It's not just my farm. There are many others that have been changed like this. From people in the community, to those in charge of the project, to the donors and supporters of Plant with Purpose. Look at what has happened.
Thank you. The agency who shot that was Prime Agencia Fotografica, a Dominican film team. So again, just really cool to be able to have all those partnerships come together.
All right, and I want to say good evening, everyone. My name is Graham Sterling, and it is my distinct honor and pleasure to be this year's MC for the Fund a Need segment. Now, the first couple of days have been fantastic. We have generated a lot of donations from a lot of donors. But as we come to this final opportunity to donate this year, we have a little bit of ways to go. So we're hoping that everyone who's watching tonight will reach down as deep as you can reach and donate every single dollar that you can donate, because every dollar makes a difference. In fact, it could be someone's life that you're saving. And I tell you, Christy, that video has to be inspiring.
It just was really exciting to hear them talk about how their entire community is rising out of poverty and finding a lot of hope for the future.
Right. And you know, Scott is so passionate, like everybody is, with this project, but it doesn't happen just with passion alone. It happens with dollars. And that's why we're here tonight. All right, now for you folks that don't know how a Fund a Need works, it's actually very, very simple. It's a lot of fun. We're going to offer you 9 levels of donation. And each level has a specific purpose. And we are going to detail what that purpose is, so you know exactly where your money's going. So you ready to get started?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. Our first level is $25,000, and that's for the Reverse Rural Poverty program. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, reversing rural poverty is what we're all about here at Plant with Purpose. For $25,000, you can lift 200 families out of poverty this year. And that's huge, especially with a matching gift. $25,000 actually helps 400 families this time around.
That's amazing. And you know, 400 families, actually you multiply that times 5, and that's 2,000 people that we're helping here.
So we've seen that when we meet families, they're often in a spot where they're just not producing enough. They don't have enough to meet their daily needs. In Congo, when we first got there, families were eating a little over a meal a day on average. After a period of just 2 years in working with them, we saw that they were up to almost 3 meals a day, and that is just amazing.
It's amazing. And we take that for granted, don't we? We have our breakfast, lunch, dinner. We don't give it a second thought. These folks survive on 1 meal a day, and now 3. That's just godsend. That's just fantastic. And I'm kind of excited to report we already have a $25,000. The famous anonymous person out of San Diego donated $25,000. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. All right, and by the way, as you mentioned, it's a match program. So for every dollar you match, or excuse me, every dollar that you donate, another dollar is donated. So that's double your amount. That's fantastic.
That's absolutely amazing, and we're super grateful for that. Again, remember, Plant with Purpose families are cutting their level of poverty by 2/3. So this is huge, a huge investment in really transforming people's lives.
All right, everyone, get down there, donate as much as you can. All right, let's go to our next level. This is the $12,500 level. This is Point the Way to Christ program. Anytime you have Christ involved in a program, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. We know from experience at Plant with Purpose, and just because we know these things, that Christ is the true source of transformation. If we're trying to help families find new hope, we can't do that without Christ. And so we do that in a whole bunch of different ways. Over the last couple days, we learned a lot about how sometimes people are growing deeper in their walk with God through the act of actually improving their land and caring for the environment. At other times, it's through our church partnerships. We've got church partnerships all over the world, even a few here in the United States. Thank you to those churches who are joining us tonight. Yeah, so we just know that Christ is at the center of everything that we do.
Absolutely. All right, let's just say a couple thank yous to Francine from Solana Beach. We have Ed and Christy from Denver. They've donated very, very generously. Jay and Candy out of Sarasota, $3,000. How about that? Thank you very much. Actually, that's $6,000 that you're donating. And by the way, this was kind of an interesting fact. $122. Just $122 does what?
It sponsors a family for a year. Right now, that's 2 families.
That's just amazing. All right, let's move quickly because we don't have a lot of time. We're now at the $8,000 level. And the $8,000 level is launch a farmer field school.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell us about that.
This is how we work. Scott talked about our Seeds of Change curriculum. Farmer Field School is a practical way for families to learn how to restore their environment. And we find that if we just tell families how to do it, it doesn't work so well. Instead, we use a methodology where families get to experiment and try different ways of doing things. And through that, they know what actually works. We also find that they teach us a lot along the way. And so a lot of our smartest learnings have actually come through more bottom-up teaching from the people.
And you know what's great about this program is you're teaching people to learn and do it on their own. You're not just giving them a blanket, you're not just giving them a meal, you're giving them the ability to do things on their own. That is rewarding in itself.
Remember to give, to participate. Click on the red Give Now button, which is at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. If you need to, you can also go to plantwithpurpose.org and click the donate button there. It gives you 2 options for giving. You can give via a credit card very easily through that. Also hit the pledge button if you want to give through any other means, a check, stock, anything. You can do that there and we'll contact you back.
A lot of ways to give. You know, it's kind of interesting this year. Normally we get to be with a crowd, with the audience, and we kind of get to get the energy. So, but here we don't really know what's going on, but all of a sudden now we see all these names of people donating. It's just incredibly exciting. We want to say thanks to Paul in St. Helena. We've got Lisa in La Jolla. We've got Steve and Ruth in Houston. Thank you all for your donations. Again, keep in mind, every dollar you donate is getting matched. So dig in while you can. This is our last opportunity. All right, let's quickly go to our next level. That is the $5,000 level, and that's to empower the economic growth. Tell us about that.
Yeah, economic growth. Without stable economies, without stable finances in the family, a lot of the rest of what we do is at risk. And so this is a big core part of what we do. We see that after a little while, families are investing a lot all of them now have about 2.5 months of savings set aside for a rainy day, which has been huge in this COVID era as we've been tapping into resilience. But we also see that families are investing in sending their daughters to school. They're investing in improving their land. They're investing in buying more land. They're building better houses. They're building assets that are going to help take them and their children generational change into the future.
Wow. All right, I kind of almost have to take a knee on this one. We had an anonymous donor who just donated $100,000, which actually is $200,000, and that is just
That's
wow.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's go to our next level quickly. We're now at the 2,500 level. By the way, we should mention that even though we're going to different levels, the higher levels are still available. So when you go to that page, you'll see the other levels. You can indeed, if you've decided, well, I want to donate 8,000 or 5,000 or 12,000, you still can. But now we're at the 2,500, and this is a good one. This is the Cultivate Healthy Families program. A lot of words. Tell us about it.
Yeah, our work does a lot to help families have access to a broader amount of foods to eat. We see that one of the main reasons that there is malnutrition or food security issues in the places where we work, it often has less to do with how many calories people are eating, but more about what calories they're eating. And so we do a lot to promote crop diversity and diversity in diet, and we see that in turn, that allows people to eat a lot more different types of food and a lot healthier food. That's huge, especially for young children. We know it's critically important for children in the first 5 years of their life to get access to a wide variety of nutrition, and that's what our programs are helping families do.
By the way, we should mention that if you have a friend that may not be watching right now, you can certainly call them up and say, hey, go to this website, donate. This is a great cause. You can double your donation. You can certainly do that while we're talking about this. Now, keep in mind, this is the final opportunity to donate during this year's event, and we're lucky enough to have donors that are willing to match any donation that you make. So it's definitely a good time to do it. And by the way, we want to send a quick shout out to David and Sandy of Riverside. They just donated $2,500, which nets us $5,000. Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to one of our next levels, and this is the $1,000 level, and this is the Increased Crops Yield program. Tell us about it.
Yeah, again, a lot of our work, it's all about how do we restore the land. When we meet families, they're often farming marginal land as the type of land that nobody else wants, which is why they're farming it. It often doesn't produce enough to meet their daily needs. We see that through regenerative agriculture principles that we teach, that families are able to dramatically increase their crop yields. Often that's by 37% or more. And that's just super exciting. It means cash in the bank. It means food in their bellies. It's just an exciting thing to be able to talk about.
Fantastic. And the donations are coming in. We want to thank you guys so much. We want to say thanks to Paul. He donated $500. Keith, thank you for your donation. Patricia in Los Altos, thank you for yours. Greg and Joyce in Solvang, up in my kind of where I grew up, thank you folks very much. You are doing a fantastic job. We need you. So if you're just giving it the slightest thought, do it. Dig down deep, push the button just one time. You are going to be making a big difference in a lot of people's lives. And again, not to sound melodramatic, but you might even be saving someone's life. And what a feeling that would be to know that you've saved someone's life. All right, we're going to continue on. We're now at the $500 level. This is the Secure Clean Water level. And to me, I mean, every level is important. Every level is fantastic. But the one that deals with clean water, I mean, it's the most basic, essential thing that we need. And sometimes people walk 10, 20 miles a day just to bring water in. This $500 program can help them out. Tell us how.
Yeah, I mean, I just turn on the faucet and I take it for granted that there's clean water there, but that is not the reality for a lot of our partner farmers. We see that partner farmers are spending huge amounts of time when we meet them going to get water that's reduced after working with us. And the reason is actually really exciting. The reason is because we're replenishing the watershed. Yep. So we're planting trees, we're saving the soil, we're doing all of those types of things that allow those streams to flow again, that clean the streams so that the water that people have access to is actually clean and a lot healthier for their family. So we're not just doing the small things, but we're thinking structurally about the whole ecosystem in which water is a part.
You know, I love our backdrop. If you look at our backdrop, you can see that there are some trees, not a ton, but quite a few trees, and there's radiation fog above. That is only possible. That's only possible if there's water in the ground. Just imagine what our backdrop would look like without any trees, just sand, dirt, rocks. That's what a lot of the area looked like until we came into the program. And this is what you are making happen. All right, so we were at 500, and we want to take a quick break here and say thanks to Graham from Frederickstown. Thank you very much for your donation. Laura Smith from Houston. We've got Nate out of Poway. We've got Patricia out of Santa Fe. We've got a lot of donations, and we may not be able to mention all of you, but trust me, we really appreciate what you're doing for us tonight. All right, we are going down to our second from the end level. This is for $250, and this is Raise an Orchard. Interesting. Tell us about it.
Yes. Well, if you wanted to know how do we clean the water, we clean the water through this. An orchard would be about 250 trees. So this is not a small thing. This is actually huge. And we know that trees are one of the best investments for restoring the environment in a way that helps families grow out of poverty.
God, fantastic. And again, if you're just giving it the slightest of thought of donating, please do it. Just imagine what your $100, $200, $300, $500 donation will do for people that are less fortunate than us. We are so lucky, and sometimes we take it for granted. And here, $500, $250, nothing for a lot of us, and what a difference it makes. Okay, we come down to what we affectionately call our Costco level. Everyone goes to Costco. You can't get away from Costco without spending $100. That is our next level, and this is for $100, which really is surprising. You can plant 100 trees for $100, and keep in mind, your donation is being matched. So when we say 100, we really mean 200. So tell us about this program.
Yeah, trees are the root of what we do. What types of trees are we planting? People ask us that all the time. We're planting a whole wide variety of trees. You may see in the background behind us trees in the landscape. Yep. Those trees are helping to stop soil erosion. They're a core piece of the regenerative agriculture program that offers hope to families. Sometimes trees are fruit trees, sometimes they're coffee like we had on the screen earlier, which is a great cash crop and also a really delicious crop.
Yes, it is.
A wide variety of different types of trees, and trees play a large role in all that we do and in everything that we do.
All right, we want to see, excuse me, we want to see if we can get a few more names in before we have to say goodbye for tonight. We want to thank Kathy in Palos Verdes. Thank you for your lovely donate. Whoa, let me just qualify that one. She donated $25,000, which nets us $50,000. So Kathy, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Kathy.
We want to say thanks to Jane out of Oceanside. We've got Gail and John out of Solana Beach. A lot of Southern California folks watching tonight. We've got Shirley and Barry here in San Diego. Denise and Chris from San Francisco. We've got Robert in St. Paul. Very nice. Thank you very much for that. And again, the donations are coming in. We cannot thank you enough. Please do it right now, because at the end of tonight, we do not have that matching donor any longer. So do it now. Double your donation.
And again, how to give. Look for the red Give Now button in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. You may need to minimize the video again to be able to see that. It's really easy. Click there. There's a button for giving via your credit card right now, but there's also a pledge button.
Yes.
We have a lot of our donors who want to give via alternative means. Sometimes people are looking at the stock market right now and have a lot of appreciated stock. You can pledge appreciated stock to us through that button. You can give through a donor advised fund through that pledge button. You can write us a check. You can scramble to figure out how you're going to get the money together and give it to us next week through that button as well. We will be contacting you back.
All right. So I think that almost brings us to the end of the Fund a Need program. And for all of you folks, again, Kathy of Houston and Bruce and Julie of Solana Beach, Megan of Escondido. We've got Sandra out of Lancaster. Thank you very much. Hollis and Grace, and also Beth and Joe, both of San Diego. And by the way, the donations are just piling up. And my gosh, the total, we are taking care of 9,840 families. Multiply that times 5, and that's how many people we are taking care of tonight. How about that?
We've just been asked to summarize those levels again for you, so we'll go through them really quickly this time.
Okay, $25,000 is reverse rural poverty. Real quick on that.
Yeah, again, that's 200 families growing out of poverty. 400.
Love it.
If you do it tonight. So do it tonight. If you've been thinking about joining our work, do it tonight.
Next level, $12,500. Point the way to Christ. And again, Christ has got to be the center point of everything to be successful.
And we love hearing these stories. These are some of my favorite stories where we get to see how people's lives are being transformed. We get to see hope coming out that never was there before. I find that these stories are some of the best stories to tell.
Absolutely. They're so easy to tell. They're just, they make you smile.
I'm thinking about the story that Scott shared just a minute ago about Veronica in Congo, and how she was just at a point where she had given up hope entirely, but she remembered God's promise to care for the poor, and then we showed up. And God worked through Planting with Purpose. She's now in a spot where she thought she had nothing. She thought she had nothing left to give, no purpose left in life. She shared with us that she's got $100 in her account right now, which is amazing.
That's fantastic. And by the way, real quick, the famous anonymous person, I don't know who this person is, but gosh darn, thank you so much. Mr. Anonymous or Miss Anonymous just donated $10,536, which doubles out to $20,000 plus $21,000. Thank you so much for that. Okay, real quick, our next level was the $8,000 level. It's launch a farmer field school, real quick.
Again, this is how we train people on how to do regenerative agriculture. Yeah. We don't try to tell people what to do and just walk away and let them do it. We teach people, we partner with people to learn together how to restore the land in local environments.
All right, and real quick, I want to say everyone's name. The donations are just coming in so fast. Real quick, we've got Anonymous again out of Solana Beach. Thank you for that $1,000 donation. Jose out of New York, all the way from New York, donating $1,000, which actually gives us $2,000. Keep that in mind. And how about Stephanie and Dyla? I apologize if I butchered that name. But anyway, they donated $5,000. That nets us $10,000. I hate for this segment to end. We are on such a roll. But again, at the end of this segment, our matching donor is going away. So please, if you're thinking about donating, do it right now.
One of our donors just asked us to remind you that you can give through multiple different ways, and this particular donor has written us into his will. And so that is always an option. Thank you so much for that. And if any of the rest of you are interested in that type of opportunity, please reach out. We'd love to talk you through that.
All right, real quick, every dollar counts, right? We don't want to diminish any level of donation because every dollar means a huge, huge benefit for somebody. But we want to send out a couple of quick shouts and thank yous to Lynn and Malcolm out of Encinitas, $8,180. That equals $16,360 and actually 54 cents of donations. Thank you so much. We've got Janice and Bruce out of San Diego, $10,225. Double that, you can do the math. And how about Cindy out of Houston, $6,000. That gives us $12,000 in donations. Excellent. By the way, for you folks that are wondering, what do I do when I give this money? Well, keep in mind that this is all cash, right? So if you talk to your tax person, they may indicate that you can write all of that off. I'm not going to say you can, but I would check because I think it's a full write-off donation, but I'm going to leave that up to you. All right, a couple quick names here. Mary Floy of Houston, $1,000. Thank you very much. And we want to say thank you to Daryl and Stephanie out of Houston, also donating very generously. Thank you very much. All right, we have a couple levels that we want to recap real quick. We've got the $2,500 was the Cultivate Healthy Families level.
Yeah, again, remember, we're helping people restore their land, restore their farms, grow more food. That means they have a wider variety, a wider diversity of foods that they get to eat. We also see that a lot of families are switching over to organic and reducing the use of some pesticides in certain places, which also is great when you're grabbing it from the farm and eating it right there.
Yeah. Fresh food is by far the best, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely the best, no question about it. By the way, just a quick update. We are now up to 10,985 families that are and multiply that number times 5 because the average family has 5 people in it over there. And wow, that's a lot of people getting taken care of.
This is amazing. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, and let's quickly go. We've got the $1,000 level, which is the increased crop yields, 37% more crops. Through this program.
Absolutely. We're seeing that as farmers are applying these regenerative agriculture techniques, that instead of needing to go buy expensive inputs to improve the yields of their farm, that they're doing it naturally, they're doing it sustainably, they're doing it in a way that maximizes their profit too, because they're using locally available resources to see that increase in crop yields. And it will just continue to grow in the long run.
Oh my gosh. Our families now being served, we're up to over 11,000 families thanks to your donations. Over 11,000 families are being taken care of, or helped, I should say.
Wow.
Not taken care of, but helped in making a better life for themselves. All right, we quickly are running out of time. We're at the $500 level. That is the secure clean water level, which to me, even though it's a lower dollar amount, it's incredibly important for clean water.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're talking about clean water, not just digging a well always or building a cistern. What we're talking about is structural change in the entire environment in which we work. We're talking about making it so that the streams flow again, so that the water table is replenished, so that water is there as people access it, and that the water is clean. Trees and a lot of the vegetation that we're restoring onto these steep hillsides actually clean the water that goes into those streams, making it much safer to drink, much healthier for the families who are accessing it.
Boy, I can't help but smile. I just see all of these donations coming in. We want to say thanks to Peggy in San Diego. $1,500 donation. That equals $3,000 for the project. Thank you so much. We also want to say thank you to Leo out of Scottsdale. We've got Herb and Amy out of San Diego. Some fantastic donations. Robert and Paula out of Solana Beach. Thank you so much as well. Okay, real quick, we've got the $250 level. This is Raise an Orchard, which it's a lot more than it just sounds.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're planting trees. We're planting trees on farms. We're planting trees at schools. We're planting trees in common lands. We're planting trees on the side of the road. We're just planting trees everywhere you can plant trees that is appropriate to do so. And those trees represent hope for the families that we work with. They represent stable soil. Soil is really the root of everything that we're talking about all the time. They stop erosion. They clean the water. They help replenish the soil so that families can grow more food. So please raise an orchard with us.
Absolutely. And we want to say thank you to Deb and Ray out of Solana Beach. Gosh darn, Solana Beach really stepping up tonight. Deb and Ray, thank you very much for that $2,000+ donation. Fantastic. That gives us $400. And we are now over 11,200 families being helped thanks to your donations.
Wow, yeah.
All right, and our final level, well, it's the $100. We call it the Costco level. It's $100, and that will allow us to plant 100 trees. So basically $1 a tree. And if you donate 100, we're still getting a match. So that'll be 200 trees that we're going to be able to plant.
Yes, thank you for that. Again, trees are the root of everything that we do. It's $1 a tree. It's actually really cheap. If you want to continue to give back to the earth in general, partner with Plant with Purpose. What we're doing is truly transformational. I hear a lot of talk lately about issues of how do we sequester carbon. Well, this is one of the best ways to do it. This is one of the best ways to clean the air. It's one of the best ways to help restore the environment. So please join us in planting for the future.
Absolutely. And by the way, 35 years of experience. So if there's a lot of great charities out there, not to take away from anybody, but when you've got a charity that has done as much as we have, 35 years of experience. Absolutely. We've grown and grown and grown. We've helped thousands and thousands of people. You know your donations are going to a really good cause. All right, we just about have to say goodbye at this point, but we want to send out a couple more shout outs. Eric and Wendy of Poway, $5,000 donation. Gosh, thank you so much. How about Gail and John out of Solana Beach? Solana Beach, this is like the Beverly Hills of San Diego. Anyway, $12,781. You can double that. That's what we're getting. We're at almost 12,000 families. Let's see if we can get to 12,000 families. That we're so close to it, so close to it. Oh, and meet the match.
We have met the match.
We have. Excellent.
Oh my gosh.
So much. Woo, we got as much as we could get. Just thank you so much for all you've done. Again, Gail and John, we said thank you to you for your great donation of $12,000. And you know what? There are a lot of people that are donating like 100, 250, 500. So every dollar matters. You know, if you're just thinking, gosh, I can only donate 100, it's not only 100. First off, it's 200, and well, and it makes a huge difference.
Yes, and know that the support that you're giving is truly transformational. I mean, we've seen a lot over the last couple days about how we are really making the most of the money that you're investing in Plant with Purpose, that we're doing as much as we can to make sure that that money goes to have the maximum impact. You've heard a lot about the impact that we've had. You've seen the poverty reduction. We've cut poverty by 2/3. That's the poverty level that an individual family experiences, and that's life-changing. You've seen that we've brought hope, we've brought joy, we've brought restored relationships with God to the families that we partner with. But in all things, just know that we are not here having a top-down approach, that we're here truly as partners in the communities where we work, and that those partners are the ones who are teaching and guiding and training us. And we want to invite you to become partners with us as well and experience that life-changing transformation through the Plant with Purpose community. So thank you very, very much.
Definitely. Thank you very much. And again, it's been such a treat to be here with you, Christy. It's just such a great feeling. And God bless all of you out there that took part this week and donated today and will donate in the future. God bless you all, and thanks so much.
Yes, thanks again. And remember to check us out at plantwithpurpose.org. We truly appreciate your partnership. Thank you.